to Around the Table. We're recording in, well, 2/3 of us are in the Netherlands. Welcome, Zef and Jorit from Nijmegen in the Netherlands. These two guys are part of the Hero Town movement and organization in the Netherlands. And guys, let me have you introduce yourselves, because you'll do a better job than I will.
Well, hopefully. Thanks, Matt. My name is Jorit. I'm one of the, co-founders of Hero Town Netherlands. We're based in Nijmegen, but we have people from different parts of the Netherlands, so we just called it Hero Town Netherlands, which made more sense to us. And I'm in charge of the operations business part of Hero Town, so I'm not very much involved in our projects, but I'm looking after the personnel, finances, and I'm speaking to our board on a regular basis to inform them on what we're doing, pretty much. And this is Zef.
Hello. Yeah, Zef Jorit, also co-founder of Hero Town, the Netherlands. We started together a couple years ago with a lot of people. Over the years, we've slimmed down a little bit after things got a little bit more clear what had to be done and whatnot. But now I'm helping form the lessons, which we give to kids all across the Netherlands at schools, ages 9 to 12.
9-ish.
Yeah, so I tried to get all the wisdom of the hero movement into 5 tight lessons for the kids, and I've been teaching them at Dutch schools for a little under a year now, and we're almost at the point at which I can say they're good.
Good. And who would be the other people that would be in the room now if we were interviewing the main team?
That would be our board of directors. We have Michelle. She is also a co-founder. Then we have Olaf. He's the chairman. He's a writer, and he also writes about heroism in the Netherlands. And we have chief of finance. That's Jana's dad. Jana is also one of the co-founders. And she would be, I think, the most important missing link. She's been managing Hero Town and our first project almost all by herself. So I think she's what makes the motor turn. And then we also have 5 freelance trainers who are helping us roll out the program, and one other colleague that's also in our core team, which is called Mark.
It's a big group. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this has been, as Zef said, slimmed down from an original group. Can you tell us about the origin story of Hero Town Netherlands? So, all the best superheroes have origin stories. What's the origin story for your team?
Yeah, well, you can take credit in that. I think we started out being inspired by the Hero Roundtable conference in spring 2016. And then you and Natalie organized that in the Netherlands at our university, which is really close by where we're sitting right now. So Natalie brought together a bunch of people who came off the conference and got inspired, and we're like, okay, what's next? Because everyone's like, woo, it's really nice, this message, and we're really enthusiastic about it, but what should we do?
We're gonna change the world!
Yeah, we're gonna change the world, but what am I gonna do? So she brought them together and said, hey, you're together now, pick it up. I'm off to the United States, bye. So we picked up, and we started just looking around, asking around, meeting people, just seeing what we should do and what the real question was from society. And then a whole lot of time passed, and then we met Michelle Werning from the Heroic Construction Company in Germany. And she introduced us to Madurodam, which is a miniature theme park, but also a war memorial and they're using their profits to support educational projects that help empower kids. So we got into talking with them, and we weren't even founded yet, but they already decided, like, your values are so in line with ours, helping kids reach their potential, helping kids help other kids in need or other adults, that they said pretty soon, we're going to support you. So that was a big step for us. Also really scary because we hadn't formed an organization yet. Then we had a team of 11 co-founders, which were mostly originated from the Hero Roundtable conference. And we had to wait a long time for our status of, how do you say it?
It's like a tax status in which you can, companies can grant you money without paying extra taxes because you have a societal value.
Yeah.
This is something that's very important if you want to start a foundation in the Netherlands, because otherwise it's very hard to receive money from companies who want to support you.
It's difficult to become subsidized. So we had to wait a long time for that, and we had to rewrite our proposal a couple times. So a lot of people had to go to paid work because we were doing it voluntarily for a year or a year and a half. At the same time, we were starting another startup business where we're sitting right now, which was also a really great idea. Never start 2 startups at once, please, people. So we had to wait a long time, but eventually the status came through, and we could actually start our school program, building our school program, because that's what it was going to be. And we started with 5 lessons for the kids between 10 to 14 years was the original idea, but we're focusing more on the
younger age
grade
groups.
School, younger schools.
There's this switch from grade school to high school, and we thought, well, if we take the last years of grade school and the first years of high school, we'll catch them in the hardest part, or the most part where we'll have most influence.
Yeah, there's a lot of change.
To make a lesson plan that connects with both these age groups was a little hard to start with, so we're just starting with the younger age group, and first we'll get this right, and then we'll see if we can also adapt it to have more of a connection with the other age groups.
Yeah. So you two were involved with the Hero Roundtable right from the start, and were key pieces to getting that actually happening. What drew you to that initially? Obviously, Natalie was the person, but what about what Natalie was talking about attracted you? Was it connected to something in your background, in your education, your interests?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Or was it just Natalie?
Yeah, no. It was kind of funny for both me and Zef, because I was coming back from a job in Amsterdam I didn't really like. I had no idea what to do with my life. I had a lot of free time to explore what I was going to do next. I studied social psychology, so Natalie told me she met Professor Zimbardo, and I was just very jealous immediately. And then she asked me, because I was also, all my life, I've been working in catering and restaurants. So she asked me, like, you want to help out with lunch? Because we really want to serve lunch, but we have a tight budget. And I helped her a bit in looking into how we could serve lunch for a small budget. But I was also, of course, interested in the talks that were going to take place at the Hero Roundtable, and eventually by just looking around and asking people and asking big companies to work with us, because we work with sponsored foods, so foods that were going to be thrown away even though they were really good to eat, and we just asked the biggest companies if they want to participate in a kind of a food saving campaign on this event, and they all just said yes, of course, awesome. Well, you all that's for me, that's the heroism thought right there. You think there's a barrier even for big corporations to do something of societal value, and then you find out there really isn't. You can just get into it, just start, ask people, and you'll see if there's value to what you're trying to do for other people. They'll just tag along, and they're really inspired by it.
If you take the first step, a lot of people will be able to follow.
Yeah. That for me was kind of living and breathing the whole heroism thought. And I think for Zef, the story is kind of similar, but I'll let you tell it.
Yeah, the start's pretty much the same. I had a big internship other side of the country, went bust. And also, just like yours, there was like a small time in my life where I didn't really have anything to do and was really looking for something to do just to feel like I had some value or could do something. And the Hero conference was kind of a nice package because there was a lot of work to do, but although it didn't really pay because it was for a good cause, it was something really nice to tag along to when you were a little bit low yourself, because you could feel good about what you were doing, and it felt like you belonged to something in which you could make a little difference. Very nice. While Jorit was busy with the food, I just tried to help with whatever, and eventually I coordinated the working volunteers at the conference, and for me it was really great because I didn't come into it with a lot of confidence, and while doing these couple weeks I really got it back because I did a lot of stuff I didn't remember I could do. One of the highlights for me was the impromptu interview night after the movies with Zimbardo when somebody got sick. I did a lot of stuff that I didn't imagine I would be doing so fast after I was feeling so low.
Yeah.
So it really helped me get back to my feet.
And Zef, you've got a psychology background too, right?
Yeah. That's the internship for clinical psychology for kids, but real mismatch with the people from the institution.
Yeah.
But now, it's kind of helpful for me to have this background in forming these lessons and connecting with the kids.
I want to ask you guys about that time right after the conference where you say you had that, wow, we want to do things, we want to change things. What are we going to do? Because that is such a common experience at these events and the week after or the month after. What do you think some of the key pieces were that made you actually do something, whereas a lot of people they want to, but do you know why it was that you in particular did this?
I think we at first tagged a little bit along with the girl we mentioned, Natalie. She was really she really is or can be a really confident person. If she believes in something, she can put tremendous amounts of energy into something. And while a lot of us in this phase of our life or taking these steps feel like, ooh, I shouldn't ask for too much, or I shouldn't take myself too seriously because I'm just new to this, she didn't really seem to be affected by this. She was like, I believe in this message, I believe in myself, I'll go talk to anybody who wants to hear or who wants to see us. So after the press releases came out following the conference, quite a lot of groups of people contacted us, and she talked to all of them, and we tagged along in the first part. Later we could do more without her taking the first steps.
Yeah, being present.
Yeah.
And do you think
that really helped this part.
Do you think that some of it was that there was more than one of you that had this feeling, that there was a team that you thought, well, we can all do this together?
Yeah, definitely, because there's always going to be a couple of people who are a bit hesitant. They're really interested. They want to do something, but they're not sure what. But we had like a room full of people that at least a couple of were very enthusiastic. And I think we also there's this part of needing motivated people and indeed needing someone to glue them together. That's really important, I think. And then there was kind of a situational or luck factor that me and Zef both weren't working full time. We still had some time we didn't have any money, but we still had some time to put into, other projects. So for us, it was like, okay, well, if this Hero Roundtable thing worked as well as it did, why shouldn't starting an organization do so? Because we just went through that barrier of not being able to take the first step, and then of course being open to so many things, and also with the media attention the Hero Roundtable generated, there were a lot of opportunities, and we really talked to a lot of people that had actual opportunities for us, resulting in the cooperation with Maduro then.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about the struggle at the start, because you got all that attention, because you got Madurodam saying, "Hey, do it." In a lot of ways, it sounds like a dream start, right? Everyone, like, wow, hey, how have you dealt with that? Because I know, having talked to you since then a number of times, there was a lot of pressure there. So how have you sort of worked through that?
Yeah. At first we just panicked. And and then we're like, hey, okay, let's try and use this as an opportunity. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't work out, and we've evolved more along that way. Also, with our latest board of they're helping us form a strategy, which also looks at incremental growth and a healthy basis for the organization.
Workload.
Because at first we just thought, okay, we told them we're going to train like 14,000 kids in 3 years. So that's what we have to do. And if we don't, the money will stop. So we have to do it.
Yeah.
And that was a really unhealthy way of thinking about it, because you can train 5, 10 or 15,000 kids. It's pretty... it's still not all the kids in the Netherlands. So we've come to realize it's more about incremental growth and being able to do it, in a financially sustainable way, than just trying to look at the targets and making the deadlines. That's not. Yeah. I think a growth mindset is about how can I learn to be better at what I'm doing, instead of just how can I reach a target and then be okay with it.
Right.
So we're trying to also communicate that to our founding partner Madurodam, and they're also been susceptible to our own hero's journey and our own growth. So we just try to be as open as possible in that, while also doing our best to reach as many kids as we can.
And go on, Zef.
Especially if you start something that's a little vague to a lot of people, even to yourself maybe. Or we're gonna make people more heroic. Short sentence, but nobody really knows how to start, what to do. For us as well, we have some idea, but we don't know all the steps between starting and having accomplished your goal. And these things, if you start, you think these things are really bad, because you want to get the money and you want to sell. Well, for this money, I'll gonna do this to some benefactor, but along the way you find out that that's not the way it works, and it's also not a healthy or constructive way to look at it, because you're blindsiding yourself to a lot of stuff. So being open about these things to the people that are so good to sponsor you can actually be a strength.
Right.
To acknowledge these steps and these learning moments, and trying to do it together with the people who sponsor you, because they don't just want to give you the money, they want to be involved in what you do. So if you can make a connection with the people who grant you the money in this journey, it'll actually be good, I think, for the message and for the organization you're putting up. Because the people who grant you the money, they know a lot of stuff, but you still need each other. And if you are too restrictive in setting your goal, getting your goal, I think it can actually stunt your growth or the value you're trying to add.
Right.
So that would be my advice, to try to be open with the people who you want to work with, who are good enough to sponsor you.
Yeah. So one of the things you said earlier too was that you sort of had to work out what the question was that you were trying to answer, or what the problem was you were trying to solve. So how did you go about doing that?
That's a really good question.
At first, we just started, I think.
Yeah.
Our first step was just, let's just start and we'll see where we'll get. And trying to not think too much about that you'll have to answer this question sometime for real.
Yeah.
And I also think we just looked at what's out there, what are other people doing,
Yeah.
and what are the things we would like to learn from that, and what are the things we feel like adding ourselves. So when you look at the other heroism programs, it's usually about what can we learn from the social psychology lessons from Dr. Zimbardo. What are the key factors to growing heroism or fostering heroism? But we also looked at a bit more practical side of it. Also in dialogue with Maduro Dam, which also believed that it's not just lessons or knowledge, but it's also skills and being
Practical.
Yeah, being practical about it. So we tried to combine heroism lessons and mindset lessons with first aid training, mindfulness lessons, and self-defense.
Some social assertiveness.
Yeah, and social assertiveness. So we tried to look at it from the practical side and from the theoretical side and just make a whole package.
Yeah.
And most of these things we didn't think of ourselves. We just started looking around and thought, what do other people think works? There was a little, before we knew that we had to wait a long time for the good tax company of the Netherlands, we thought we were in a hurry. So we started with quickly looking what's out there, what's some stuff we can believe in, what stuff we could actually see work. Yeah.
So you've got 5 lessons now. Are those 5 lessons including all of what you just described?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much, but there's 2 important things we kind of left out. I think the lessons are for kids on primary school, and they're being taught the lessons by our trainers. Usually we have two trainers in the classroom. Smaller classrooms might be 1, and we think it's really important the trainers, because they know the background. They're also, they know why we're doing it. They're really good at putting the stuff out there for the kids. But we have a lesson 0. We call it lesson 0, which is for the school teachers, because we find that when the school teachers are not supportive of the lesson program, or they don't understand what we're trying to do, the program works half as well as it should, maybe even less. Especially the mindset lessons are very important for teachers as well as parents. And the last thing we left out is that the lessons continue on a digital platform. So we've built a basic version of it right now. It's called www.nieuwehelden.org.
No. Link in the description below.
That's our basis website, and we're developing a website now where kids can subscribe to, and they can practice the lessons in real life. They can look at interactive material, and they can also go out there and do social experiments, upload them with a video message. So we're trying to make it broader than just a school lesson plan.
Yeah, we're trying to make an online supplement which can act as a community hub, but also a place for the kids to continue looking at this kind of stuff in a practical way.
Yeah.
But I also, correct me if I'm wrong, that this was a very strong. Our main sponsor really wanted that we would have an online presence and have something to keep the kids engaged after the lessons were done.
Yeah. Because you can't teach kids a growth mindset in an hour and a half.
Right.
You can teach them mindfulness, but you can try to engage the conversation about why is this working, especially with the teacher in there. and after the mindfulness lessons, which kids really enjoy, by the way, we all thought that, like, this is going to be a difficult one, but they really like it, and if the teacher sees that and he or she is like, okay, this is going well, this is nice for my class, they might pick it up afterwards. So the same goes for the online platform. We have to imprint the whole heroism mindset into kids by making it engaging for them in different kinds of ways. And what's also fun is that we're building kind of a hero's passport or making a kind of a gamification piece in our website, which makes kids engage more and they can look at their own hero's journey and their own growth by collecting badges. And
they can like a digital scout badge.
Yeah. Fantastic. So are you available for work outside of the Netherlands? If someone's listening to this and they're somewhere else, are you available for that kind of thing? Are you open to going to other countries' schools, or is it really a Dutch focus?
Well, I don't think we've ever really talked about it in a practical way. But our foundation name is Hero Town, the Netherlands. Not because we only want to be in the Netherlands, but because we want to emphasize that we're part of a bigger worldwide community. So we're the Dutch part of a global thing. Looking back on it, I'm not sure if everybody gets this when they hear our name, but that was the intention. Yeah. So I do think we would be open to, in some way, contributing to this movement on a larger scale, but we wanted to, in some way, emphasize that we were the Dutchies doing the hero thing.
Yeah. So I think in a practical sense, it's going to be a bit difficult for us to go abroad on a big mission, but probably in the quite near future, when the program's even more up and running than now. This year we're expecting to have reached 1,000 kids, and next year we're going to want to grow, but when the program's up and running and stable and we have our trainers on the spot,
we'll have all the time in the world.
Yeah, we'll have all the time in the world. We'll definitely be interested in that.
Yeah. Good. So yeah, I'm definitely trying to get another European Hero Roundtable, which will bring a lot of people together, I think, again. So what have you had any barriers or any trouble with Dutch culture and the word hero, the idea of teaching heroes? Every time I start talking in a new country or to people in a new country, I hear some pushback of some type, and it's different in each country, but has there been a struggle in the Dutch land?
Yeah, I think the best way to talk about this would have Jorit tell about his experience with the grand boss of all the Dutch people, which is the Queen, and she actually spoke up about this issue.
Well, she's the former Queen. She's the princess now, Princess Beatrix. She's the mother of our king.
Everybody.
And we did the speech at Madurodam while they were announcing that they're gonna grant us or support us for the coming couple of years. And I speeched about what we're going to do. And I said Hero Town, but she afterwards she came up to me and she corrected me because she thought I was saying Eurotown, like the coin we're using here. So hero is not a word that's very common for Dutchies to use, although it's becoming more prevalent in popular names like building heroes or whatever heroes.
That's probably to do with pop culture, focusing more on heroes now. So all the companies who do advertising and make commercials, they just look at what are the hits on Google, so we'll use it. So my suspicion is that that's the reason it's more prevalent now.
Yeah.
So it is being added more to the common words we use in the Netherlands, but the Dutch word for heroes is almost never used, and my suspicion is that it has something to do with like Dutch Calvinistic culture, in which it's not really commonly accepted to boast. So everything that every emblem, positive emblem that you put on yourself, is something people don't really accept or even a little bit suspicious about.
Yeah.
So these emblems that tell you, I have this virtue, I call myself a hero, so I'm a virtuous person. People act very suspicious to this.
It's a bit
in
dirty.
the Netherlands. Yeah, people get a dirty aftertaste of this.
So for us, it's been exceptionally difficult to find the right words and also to embrace the term. We've still not, I think, embraced it fully. But what we've tried to do, and we also called our program Nieuwe Helden, which is new heroes, because we're trying, and that's also what we said in our speech. We're trying to change the meaning of the word.
Yeah.
We're trying to get it off its pedestal and make it available to everyone. And in that way, we're creating new heroes because it's small children that are growing up to be like heroes. And we're also trying to change the meaning of the word from something unreachable to something really close by and very normal.
Yeah.
And it's about transforming from not being a hero, but acting like one.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. So going back a couple of conversation points, I wanted to bring it up then, and I forgot to. But one of the things that struck me about your group is how large it is, and how involved people are, and how committed they are to meeting regularly and discussing ideas, and really being open to thinking of new ideas. And I saw that in Budapest with the hero movement there, but it's not a common thing. So do you think that that's a European thing, to be sitting down in groups and discussing ideas, or is it just a particular chance that your group is doing that? Because I think my suspicion is it's been quite a key part in your success.
I could give a rough answer to this. Do you have a polished one?
Not yet.
So we did start with a large group, and the key factor to this was everybody's welcome. If you're enthusiastic or even curious about this, please join. And this was a really great way to start, because like you said, you have all these people together, all these ideas together, and you can discuss them. So you can bounce it off each other, and you can see what sticks. And to maybe explain it a little bit in a mean way, you can also see which things are a little too out there. Because as a group, you always have people who are a little bit more out there and some people who are a little bit more practical. So this was also a good way to see as a group which ideas do we find practical to go ahead with, and which should we stay a little bit away from at first. But we did have a transformation as a group during the past 2 years, in which, like Jorit said, a lot of members fell off because of the continuing financial strain. There wasn't coming any money in, and a lot of people had to just find a regular job. Now, so we went from a large group of 12 people to a group of about 5 in this, and other people were still interested but weren't actively working on it. Now we are around 10 to 12 again, but those people are paid trainers. So we compensate ourselves, but the newest additions to our groups are people who are still have to be really excited about the ideas, because the pay isn't that great, but they do get financial compensation. So we're now in a place in our organization at which we're big again. So we went from large and vague to small and concentrated, and now with these more concentrated ideas, we've grown again to be able to pick up the demand.
Yeah, that's a really unpolished story. No, it's polished, man. Yeah.
The other thing that I see is that it hasn't been driven by one person necessarily. It seems it was a group that just came together and said, we're going to do this. It wasn't one person saying, come to me and join me in doing this.
Yeah, if that one person gets sick, we wouldn't be here. Or if that one person would have happen something in the motivation or wrong side of a bus.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of a slingshot idea because we've gone through a couple of crises, financial crises, and also just too much work and too much workload. But when you're with a couple of people, you're almost always able to like catapult yourself from the one person that's lagging behind because they're not doing well or not being available, being sick. So yeah. When you keep like helping each other out in that way, there's always someone to try and fill in what's necessary. That works really well because you'll never come to a full stop. Because we've been really close to a full stop after the second time our proposal for the tax company got rejected. Everyone was totally lost, and then only Jana and me tried to like get it.
Breathe life into it.
Yeah, breathe life into, do some CPR, and that cost us quite some time, but we were still motivated enough to like have had it the last time.
And there was a big pot of money on the horizon that might have helped as well.
Yeah, I think and what Zef said about the last question you asked, because we're able to provide for the people that are working with us now, they can feel really good about what they're doing and also be compensated, which makes it. Eventually, it makes it so much more easy to stay connected.
Right.
You're not just doing it out of the goodness of your heart.
Yeah, and this is something we knew when we had our lows. We knew that if we have, and the grant we would receive or the sponsorship we would receive would be substantial enough to actually get some people to do something. So all the while we were low because we had this hassle to get to this money. We knew that if we can cross this bridge, we'll be able to do something in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So this is something I feel made it possible for Jorit and Jana to push through in the hard times. Because a lot of people quit, but they kept trying, and I think it's because they knew that if they could get this, they could make the whole plan actually start and work.
Right. Well, we're running close to time. Is there anything that people watching could help you with, or is there anything that you would like people to do? And how can people contact you if they have questions, if they want to join up, if they want to hire you, any of these things?
Well, they can reach us at info@herotown.nl. So that's the easy part. What are we looking for at the moment? I think in the international sense, we're interested in getting more knowledge about research. Researching, we just started to research our own program for effectiveness.
Right.
So we get some help on that. I think it's really difficult to measure heroism.
Yeah.
So we just started doing it, but I think we can do much better. And we're also, but that's more for the Dutch market. We're looking into more stable financing, so a couple of more grants from different organizations, which is pretty difficult when you don't have a lot of time to look into. Anything else?
No. So help with how do you actually determine if your program is making a difference, and how could you use this research to again better your program? Yeah. These are questions we're struggling with, or at least we're curious to answer.
Okay.
Yeah, and for the international market, I think one thing we've learned is that you have to start by doing one thing well, and look at other things when you've got the one thing down. And I think we're about to start finishing up doing this one thing well. So given a little bit more time, we'll be able to do this thing well. And then I think it would be smart to then look what else? What's next?
And maybe expand or help others in other countries start up their own program, because it might be good to add, our program is not exclusive. We're trying to make it as available as possible. We're not copywriting it, because we think like the information you're getting is just out there. It's free for everyone to find. The knowledge is also there.
Yeah.
You just have to make your own style around it, or your own illustrations, and then you can just go about and do it in another country. So we're really happy to help other organizations or startups with ideas about the lesson plan.
Yeah.
This is also something we had help with by Michelle Werning, thinking about what we could do, what we should do.
Yeah, we're pretty much available to pay it forward. If the person is, the people contacting us have a serious interest in these things, we're available to talk to them.
Fantastic. All right, well, thank you guys for joining us on the show, and hope to see you in person again pretty soon.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Let's not wait too long.
Yeah. All right, thanks again.
Cheers, Matt.
Bye.